Hello everyone, I greet in the name of God Almighty. My name is Apostle Nathan Silas, and today we have a very interesting video to react to. And this one says that the European state where women are outlawed. Okay, I believe that this is going to be a very interesting video. We are going to learn what is the reasons to why women are being outlawed, even though I may feel personally that it's not right, because I didn't just come to this world on my own, but then I was actually given birth by a woman. But then anyway, when we get down to the video, we can be able to hear their reasons to why they do so. So if today happens to be the first time of you checking out my channel, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on my Facebook and Instagram. And if you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section and I'm going to check it out. So guys, before we get on to the video, I'm a theologian and I make this video not to discredit anyone's thought or opinion. This is basically for educational purposes, and I believe that at the end of this video we all are going to learn from this. So guys, without any further ado, let's get on to this video and check this out.
High atop a mountain, perched over the sea, nestled within the walls of secluded monasteries, lies a sanctuary of tranquility where the only sound is the gentle whispers of the wind, soft prayers, and the melody of peaceful contemplation. And you're never going to get in. This is the holy mountain, Mount Athos, a self-governing state within Greece. This 10-kilometer border and fence separates this monastic state from the rest of the world. It's a spiritual center of Eastern Orthodox Christianity. They're the ones with the black robes, the different crosses, and the fancy icons. Athos is like the Orthodox Vatican and Tibet rolled into one. To visit here, you'll need to apply for a special visa months in advance, and not a Greek visa, an Athonite visa called a diamonatyrion. Even with the visa, only 100 Orthodox Christians are allowed in per day, alongside 10 non-Orthodox visitors. You'll enter by boat and you can only stay for 3 nights. Oh, and you can't be a woman. They've been banned from Mount Athos for over 1,000 years. Athos is the only state in the world with an all-male population. So what is Mount Athos? What is life like there, and are Molotov cocktails an ecumenical matter? Jeez. Well, let's find out. While technically a part of Greece, the Holy Mountain is a 400 square kilometer state within a state, run entirely by monks. The Greek constitution specifically says that Mount Athos will, in accordance with its ancient privileged status, be a self-governed part of the Greek state. These monks have their own government, parliament, and capital at Carius, where they set their own laws, control their own borders, and don't pay any taxes. Isolated between the dense forests and crashing waves, these monks have prayed in Greek much in the same way they did when Byzantine emperors ruled over them. It's an unbroken tradition going back over 1,000 years. Here on the mountain, about 2,000 Orthodox monks with their untamed beards and black robes live in one of the 20 monasteries and hundreds of cells. Their quest? To remove all distraction and feel closer to God. They live simple lives filled with work, prayer, walks, and prayer. The silence here is almost overwhelming, but it's broken once every morning around 3 AM as a monk bangs on a wooden board called a simedron, calling the monks to prayer. Prayer services can sometimes go on for 6 straight hours. Life on Athos is hard work. 2 meals are eaten per day in silence. Meat is banned and their diet consists of vegetables, lentils, sometimes fish, along with water and wine, all produced on their own land. When not praying or sleeping, the monks are working. This can include preparing for visitors, farming, making wine, cooking, sewing, icon painting, and renovating the monastery. The monks support themselves through wealthy donors and by selling their products such as painted icons, olive oil, and essential oils. Some monasteries even have online stores. The monks also have a large and controversial real estate portfolio including hotels and land across Greece. Mount Athos still feels very medieval. Visiting involves literal time travel. The monks never adopted the fancy-smancy 16th century Gregorian calendar. They still use the Julian calendar of the Roman Empire, which is 13 full days behind ours. And the monks still keep Byzantine time. The day begins at sunset, not midnight, and so the time zone changes every day. Most monks live in the stunning monasteries, but some, like Father David here, prefer to live in the caves and huts along the barren cliffs. The wall behind them there, that's literally the cliff face. The intense isolation makes the hermits feel closer to God. Many spend 60 to 70 years in silence and can only access their cells by hauling themselves up with ropes and ladders. Some hermits will have food and firewood delivered by basket. If the hermit ever needs help, they just raise a flag. If one day the basket comes back full, then the monk is a lot closer to God than he was before. When a new monk takes over the cell, he might live alongside the bones of the last monk kept in a box. These monasteries have acted like time capsules with a treasure trove of Byzantine and Ottoman artifacts, thousands of ancient documents, icons and illuminated manuscripts, which they carefully preserve. And skulls, like an unusual amount of skulls. The monks govern themselves through an elected council of 20 monks, the Holy Community, and answer only to the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople, kind of like the Orthodox Pope, on spiritual matters. So why do only monks live here? Well, Christian hermits started to live on Athos around the 8th century. In 855, the Byzantine Emperor Basil I kicked out all the shepherds living here and gave the area exclusively to monks and hermits. These early monks lived alone until this chap, Athanasius the Athonite, personal friend of the Byzantine Emperor, founded the monastery of Great Lavra in 963, which still exists today. He wanted the monks to live, pray and work in common. Soon the lonely huts of the hermits were replaced with towering monasteries of stone. Today there are about 20 of them. For centuries, Byzantine emperors guaranteed the independence of Mount Athos, and their donations made them rich. It attracted monks from all across the Orthodox world, such as Russians, Serbs, Romanians and Bulgarians. Now, a bunch of defenseless monks living in monasteries filled with gold attracted attention. Raids from pirates, Turks, Franks, Crusaders and Catalans drove the monks from the low slopes of the mountain to the safety of the peaks and cliff faces. One mercenary group called the Catalan Company, who was made of Catalans, robbed and pillaged the monasteries so badly in 1305 that Catalans were banned from Mount Athos for the next 700 years. In the 1990s, one Catalan musician was kicked off the peninsula when a monk discovered his nationality. In 2005, this musician organised for Catalonia to provide over €250,000 in funding for monastery renovations. This 700-year-old apology was accepted and now Catalans are once again welcome on the mountain. When the Byzantine Empire collapsed and Constantinople fell to the Ottomans in 1543, it made little difference to the monks who had already worked out a deal with the new Sultan. The Sultan respected the monks and left them to themselves and sometimes even made donations. When the Greeks finally kicked the Ottomans out and Greece took control of the Holy Mountain in 1912, they enshrined the monks' independence in the Greek constitution, making it a self-governing part of the Greek state, the monastic state of the Holy Mountain. On the 6th of April 1941, Nazi Germany invaded Greece. The monks then wrote a letter to Hitler offering him the title High Protector of the Holy Mountain if he placed it under his personal protection. Hitler, loving fancy titles, did just that and sent a Nazi research team to stay with the monks for the rest of the war. Several monasteries placed photos of Hitler on their walls and some monks were even accused of praying for him. At the same time as Nazis were walking around the monasteries up in the huts on the cliffs, monks were hiding British Commonwealth soldiers trying to escape occupied Greece. One group of Kiwis were smuggled off the peninsula dressed as monks in return for the promise to send £50 when the war was over. While the images of monks shaking hands with Nazis will probably haunt the mountain forever, the tactic did work. The German invasion brought unimaginable brutality and destruction to Greece. Mount Athos came out of the war completely untouched. When Greece joined the European Union, well, back then it was actually called the European Communities, in 1981, the special status of Mount Athos, its border and its ban on women was heavily debated. But the EU eventually granted the monks the special status they were used to. But the Holy Mountain's ban on women has come up against the EU's supposed guarantees on gender equality. Since about 1046 CE, a law called Avaton has forbidden women from stepping foot on the mountain. The monks claim that this is to avoid distraction and ensure celibacy. Oh, and that the mountain belongs to the Virgin Mary and she's the only woman allowed on it. Even female animals are banned, except for hens that lay eggs and cats that catch mice in the monasteries. although I'm unaware if the cats only catch female mice. Women in Greece and the European Parliament have protested the ban on women, calling it misogynistic, because, well, it is misogynistic. The idea that women are inherently distracting or tempting is a misogynistic idea. We can appreciate the beautiful monasteries and fascinating lifestyles while acknowledging that. The women protesting aren't even asking to be monks, they're just asking to visit the site like male pilgrims can. Critics of the policy have pretty clear reasoning. Legally, no state in the EU should be able to ban women, and yet the women that try and enter Athos risk a 12-year jail sentence. Athos also receives funding from Greek and EU taxpayers, including women taxpayers, so they're paying for something that violates their right to gender equality and their right to freedom of movement within the EU. So, in 2003, the European Parliament called for the ban to be lifted, and so far it has not worked. Some women actually have managed to get on the mountain. In the 14th century, the Serbian Empress Helena was sent to Athos to avoid plague, although she was carried in a litter at all times, so technically she never touched the ground. A French writer called Marie Choisy dressed as a sailor and snuck in and lived there for months in the 1920s, which was the basis for her book in French called Un mois chez les hommes, a month with men. Many other women have probably snuck in over the last 12 centuries. The monks are so sequestered from women that one monk, Michalis Tolotos, never even saw one. Born sometime in 1856, his mother died 4 hours after his birth, and with no other living relatives, the baby was dropped off at the steps of a monastery at Mount Athos. The monks raised him as their own, and he never once left the monastery. He died in 1938 at the age of 82. The only women he knew were the ones he read about in the Bible. And the debate about the Holy Mountain's ban on women isn't even the spiciest drama on Mount Athos. Listen to this. The Latin and Orthodox churches had a huge breakup in 1054 CE. Since then, they haven't spoken. Some Christians, Latin and Orthodox, have tried to reconcile the churches. This is called ecumenism. The monks on Mount Athos hate ecumenism. So, in 1964, when the Patriarch of Constantinople met the Catholic Pope in Jerusalem to cancel the excommunications both churches had placed on each other, many of the monks were quite upset, but begrudgingly accepted the decision, except for one monastery, Esphigmeneu, who denounced the Patriarch, barricaded their monastery and draped a massive black flag over the window saying, "Orthodoxy or death." In 2002, the Patriarch of Constantinople ordered these rebel monks to be evicted from the monastery. When the bailiffs came to evict the 100 or so maverick monks, they answered them with Molotov cocktails. Later on monk brawls broke out on the streets of Caires. As of 2022, the conflict is still ongoing. The monks have been outlawed but still occupy the monastery with the slogan Orthodoxia y Thanatos still hanging out the window. It's funny how this thin line on the map and a tiny fence essentially separate two worlds. One secular, modern and evolving, the other the last bastion of the Byzantine world. That's what I want to explore in this series. How these imaginary lines on the map alter our world and create peculiar places.
But imaginary lines on the map shouldn't stop you from watching the best content online. With NordVPN, you can select which country you want websites to think you're connecting from. So if Netflix, for some reason, doesn't have the series you desperately want to watch available in your region, but American Netflix does, then congratulations, you're American now, or Korean, or Brazilian, whatever you want. As someone that travels a lot, NordVPN has been a lifesaver. Not only because it protects my data when I use unsecured public Wi-Fi like on trains or in cafes, but also because no matter where I am in the world, I can select Ireland as my VPN region and websites won't hit me with a slurry of two-factor authentication messages because I signed in from a different country.
Guys, that's a very interesting video, getting to learn about the reasons why women are being outlawed, even though watching this video emphasize on the religious aspect, war, cultural background, upbringing, and the rest of it being the reasons why some women are outlawed. But then Greece was used as a case study in this situation, emphasizing on the historicals concerning why women get outlawed over there, and then the reasons. Anyway, I know that of course we have also learned from it, but then as civilized as Greece, I was not kind of expecting this from a European country. But then this video still went on to talk about, in a sense, that even when they got integrated, in a sense, into the Europe, they still debate that, in a sense, in parliament, of course, till if, you know, women can also get the right. But then in this 21st century, seriously, I was not expecting this, but then those are the reality on grounds. Thank God, you understand, to the internet. At least it makes us to be able to like learn some certain things that, and information that maybe on our own we could have not be private to some of them. But then a very interesting one, at least we are able to like know. So for those ones traveling to Greece and all that, at least you have to, you know, prepare yourself that this is what you might face, in a sense, when you are there. I know that, of course, that may not be, in a sense, all over the country, but then to some places it means that there will be some kind of set of restriction. And then when you look at, in a sense, even per how the video explained is, despite with all this religion, Christianity and the rest of it, it did not still stop them, you understand, from doing such, which means that this kind of go through their culture, because that's what, you understand, they tend to believe in. A very interesting video, and I hope that we have learned a lot, in a sense, as far as this video is concerned. And just like I rightly say, I feels like women need to have, in a sense, full right, just like how men also have right. Like me, I did not come to this world on my own right, but then I was given birth, in a sense, by a woman. So therefore, women supposed to also have right. And then one thing that I want to say based on the religious belief is, if you look at it, in a sense, here we as Christians believe that, of course, when you die, it's only your soul who resurrect, right? So when you die and then your soul resurrect, it does not talks about, in a sense, gender, to whether you are going to be a man or you're going to be a woman, but then it's just about what your soul. And that's one of the reasons why you see Jesus was talking about all these things. So when you go there, in a sense, there is nothing like husband, there is nothing like wife, right? We are just there, in a sense, existing as soul, and then all those things. So why do we have to, you understand, be making some kind of restriction and all that? So if we are to say that we are children of God, and then we are doing what God has asked us to do, and then we are trying to live like him, then why doing so? Why bringing this segregation? Why trying to bring differences and all those things between us, despite with all this religion and education? But still, in a sense, people still do this. It just feels like, in a sense, it's not right. But then I know that a lot of you have thought an opinion concerning this, and I welcome them at the comment section. You can say what, in a sense, you think concerning this video, and then to also tell me if you feel is right for what, in a sense, is happening, in a sense, in Greece, to whether a woman should be outlawed or not. So this is the end of my video. If you like my reaction, you should like, share and subscribe. And if you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section, and I'm going to check it out. So guys, you remain blessed, and I see you in my next video. Bye bye.